Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I am dubbing the another lazy ass day off review because I really didn't do much these past 3 days in regards to getting things done. But that's okay. That's okay. There's always a beer review once a week, or a whiskey review sometimes. And what are we reviewing tonight? We are reviewing Deschutes Hopzeit Autumn IPA. Now, what is this? This is basically a Marzen, an Oktoberfest style beer that instead of being brewed with the traditional noble hops, is brewed with German grown American style hops. So those very thick resiny style hops, very New World in style, but still grown in Germany. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think they also still include a share of noble hops in brewing this. They go and add the American varietal of hops along with the traditional noble hops. The American hops, of course, dominate the noble hops. So let's read the label, shall we? Profile: inspired by a traditional Marzen beer, German hops add herbal, fruit, and spice notes to balance a smooth and elegant malt character. So this is 60 IBUs, so kind of on the high side IBUs, but that's also because it's got a pretty stout malt backbone, as most Marzens / Oktoberfest style beers are. And this is fairly high alcohol too, higher than traditional Marzens as well, at 7.0 ABV. Like all of the Deschutes beers, I think, this is bottle conditioned, so if you do drink it, don't drink the bottom part when you pour it out. Otherwise, you'll get a yeast note to your taste profile, which shouldn't be there. It's good enough. See, left about an inch over there. You can probably leave a little bit more, a little bit less. I'm half an inch ought to do it, but I really want to be safe and not get too much of the yeast inside of this. That said, even though it's because it's bottle conditioned, it will of course be cloudy. That's because of live yeast. What I'm saying about getting yeast, you don't want that yeast sediment in there. It will really add yeast flavors to it. So, fairly thick head, off-white, nice orange color, pretty much traditional Oktoberfest color. And we're faced with this really interesting combination of baked breads and citrus fruits. There's some juiciness there too. It's really interesting, that sort of baked brown bread from the malts, interplaying with that sort of New World hops. New World style. Like I said, these are still German. There's still hints of floral aspects in there, probably from the noble hops. But overall, juicy, citrusy, and a little bit of dank too. Not very many pine note characters. Maybe just a smidge. And taste-wise on the palate is what makes this beer so interesting. Lots of interplay of flavors there. Definitely have that rich bready malt throughout. You know, from start to finish, there's that rich bready malt. Finish is fairly clean, as a lager should. Hint of some residual sugars on the tongue, and also that very much an IPA sort of resiny taste on the tongue. Not very intense compared to others that I've had, but still there. Still a lingering ghost of bitterness. resiny hop bitterness. Within that bread, there's also like some fruity notes. And what's interesting is that the bread still dominates. You know, it doesn't become thick like a fruit cake. If I could say how it is, it's more like, say, raisin bread, where the raisins sort of add a bit of flavor to the overall bread sort of taste of the malts there. It's not really raisiny sort of fruits. I would say maybe if you made like you know, good nice German brown bread with like some candied orange peel in it, you know, just a little bit, that would definitely hit that kind of flavor note. Then towards the end, towards the finish, comes that rush of, you know, that more American style reminiscent hopping. Bitterness, resininess, doesn't stay there long, clears the palate much around the same time the sweetness of the malts do as well. Now what's really interesting is right in the mids there, is when those two places intersect. Got a lot of interplay. It doesn't cleanly segue into, you know, from one flavor to the other. It just kind of like, it plays with, you know, the two flavor profiles from the front to the back kind of interplay there, you know, where the hops take over from the back, whereas the, you know, more malty thing kind of stays there. But malts throughout, malts throughout. This is definitely, while it is hoppy, definitely there's quite a bit of balancing malt backbone to this. Almost caramel and toffee notes in the midst. Just a little bit. Like I said, not overly sweet, very well balanced with those hops. You can definitely tell that they went and amped up the malts as well as amping up the hops in order to maintain a sort of balance. But what's interesting is, even though they amped up those malts, you don't get an overly rich, treacly kind of taste, which sometimes happens with the heavier IPAs, and especially the Imperial IPAs, which I don't really review much anymore, because I'm kind of finding that the Imperial IPAs kind of start running together in taste, I find. At 7.0, a bit of a kick in the head, as well as a kick in the gut. Very filling beer. Obviously, this is not one that you're going to be pounding a few of. I would say maybe one or two. Perhaps I wouldn't recommend having this with your traditional Oktoberfest fare. You know, the sort of Wiener Schnitzel and potato salad. The bitterness towards the finish might throw off. Your mileage may vary. I know some people love having IPAs with food. I find that bitter hop finish towards the end kind of has a strange interplay with a lot of food flavors. So, you know, if you like that, great, go ahead. If you're like me and you find that heavy hopping in the finish a little bit off when you're eating, I wouldn't go and substitute this with your traditional Marzen. That said, it's a really exciting, really interesting sort of hybrid beer, you know, the American IPA style and the German Marzen beer style. So, Hopzeit from Deschutes, definitely give this a shot. It's a really interesting beer. That's your beer review for tonight, folks. Prost.